Sister Sherrida Rollings is a clinical nurse specialist who works within the fetal cardiac unit at the Evelina Children's Hospital within the Guy's and St Thomas's Hospital Group. During this interview, the issues surrounding the parents' treatment decision-making process, the lifestyle effects of complex heart disorders, and the risks to further pregnancies will be explored.
Well, it's very common for parents to be wondering why this has happened to them. Have they somehow done something wrong to cause the heart problem? But in fact, in the majority of cases, we never find out why it's happened. What we must assure parents of is that it's nothing that they've done has caused this. Heart problems happen all around the world with different diets, cultures and lifestyles, and we can't pinpoint it on one thing. In most cases, a heart problem will happen in isolation, but it is important to check that there isn't anything else wrong with the baby as far as can be seen at this stage in pregnancy, so we would recommend a detailed anomaly scan. For completeness, parents could consider an amniocentesis test, but this does carry risk of miscarriage, and the full results take about 2 to 3 weeks to come back, so it might be important for them to consider what their own individual risk of a chromosomal defect is and discuss that with their medical team. Once you've had the opportunity to absorb the full impact of the diagnosis and the implications, you might be wondering about what we should tell our family and friends. Your own parents are probably going to be very anxious for information, and might be a good idea to give them the information sheets that you've already been given to read through. And also a lot of the support groups will have grandparents who can be put in touch with other grandparents and talk about what life has been like as a grandparent of a heart child. With other children in the family, it's always best to be truthful about what's happening and answer any questions, obviously to their own level of understanding, and tell them what they want to know. There are books available preparing children on going into hospital that you can get from your cardiac liaison nurse that can help to prepare brothers and sisters for the admission of their newborn baby. It's very important to remember that each child is different, but we do know that the quality of life for children with a single ventricle is very good in the short to medium term. They can usually attend normal playgroups in schools, join in social games, run around the park, ride a bike. They won't be professional athletes, and some of them may develop increased breathlessness, decreased exercise tolerance, and when medical treatment starts to fail, in some cases we may have to consider transplantation. At school they won't be as physically active as their peers in terms of sports and games, and they won't be professional athletes, but they tend to take a rest when they're tired and limit themselves. The life expectancy depends on the individual condition and the child's response to treatment. We've had more experience of treating children with right-sided conditions, and we do know that many of those have reached adult years and have gone on to have families of their own. However, we've got less experience treating left-sided conditions, and in this country currently we have children in their mid to early teens, although there are survivors older than that in the United States. Congenital heart disease isn't known as a genetic condition in the true sense of the word, but we do know that there must be some sort of genetic element because it can recur in families. However, most cases will occur out of the blue with no previous family history of congenital heart disease. At St Thomas's, the delivery suite and children's heart unit are all on the same site. Immediately after your baby's born, there should be time to say hello, have a quick cuddle, and then the baby will be taken to the neonatal unit for assessment and any initial treatment that's needed. At this point, fathers can go with their babies to see them settled in, and the mother will be able to see them very soon afterwards. The risk of a future pregnancy being affected is low, but it is higher than normal. Congenital heart disease will affect about 8 in 1,000 pregnancies, so that's just under 1%. When you've had one baby with a heart problem, it does depend on the individual condition and also your family circumstances, but the recurrence risk is likely to be somewhere between 2 to 5%. So looked at the other way, you've got a 95 to 98% chance that everything's going to be fine in a future pregnancy. And also, if you were unlucky enough to fall into that group where it recurs, it's not necessarily going to be something as serious as your last child. Each unit has its own policy for screening for heart disease in future pregnancies. Here at the Evelina at St Thomas's, we offer fetal cardiology scanning from around 14 weeks of pregnancy, where we can detect most major forms of congenital heart disease. Then we'll do a follow-up scan at about 22 weeks to look at more minor problems. You'll need to be referred by your GP, midwife or obstetrician. If the baby is delivered at another hospital, not St Thomas's, the mother will be transferred up to our maternity unit as soon as she's well enough to travel, and will see the baby as soon as possible. The father can usually travel up with the baby in the ambulance.